Alright, in this lecture we're going to talk about adding a background for this image. So we're going to come over here, I'm going to make a new layer that's below everything else, and what do we have here? What is this? Go ahead and clear that. I'm going to delete this, I'm not sure what that is. So we're going to make a new layer, set to normal, and I'm going to first also change the background color to whatever we're going to have the color of our image be, which I think should be something lighter than what we have for our dinosaur, because our dinosaur is pretty dark overall. So I'm actually going to go with something like this. Okay. And then on our new layer, I'm going to pick a new brush, and I'm going to, you can use whatever you want. This is not the only way to do it, okay? I'm just showing you a possible idea for what we could do for a background. I like to do something graphic and really simple since it's an inked comic book style. So on my new layer, I'm going to color pick my background, go with something slightly brighter, perhaps a little more saturated. And using this brush we got, I'm using the polygons brush. I could just paint in some sort of an image here onto the background. That just gives it a kind of a cool graphic style. And then if you want, you can do all sorts of effects, like maybe you want on this layer beneath it to use, like we could get airbrush here and burn in like a color gradient, something like that. And then if you feel like all of your stuff is too dark or it's not bright enough, what we can do, I'm just going to merge all of these layers together. Okay. So now we have all of our color layers in one layer, and you can just adjust the saturation of this whole layer and the brightness simultaneously. And then if you need to adjust any of your other stuff, you can do that as well. Looks like I accidentally did my shadow layer as well when I did that, so I don't want my shadow layer merged. So I'm just going to undo that really quick, and we can retry it without hitting our shadow layer in there. Okay, so just these ones. Now we can try that. We don't want to make it too much brighter, but maybe just a little bit. Up the saturation just a little bit. Can lower the opacity a bit on that shadow layer there. Okay, and then up the brightness and saturation on our reflected light layer. Okay, and then you can do that. So let's try that again. Let's see. Oops, we want to be underneath this layer. Okay, and you can take that as far as you want with that airbrush if you really want to push it, and then we could change this color down here as well to something different, like something like that. Okay, remember this layer, you can mess with the mode, the blend mode, right? Do all sorts of interesting, cool stuff with that. Color dodge is pretty cool, maybe lower the opacity some. Okay, so just kind of explore it, figure out what looks cool, what you want to try. And like I said, you don't have to do it this way. This is just my way of doing things. I think that it looks good with a nice graphic sort of quality to it. So that's how I like to do it, but you can do it however you want. Okay, and once we get this settled where exactly we want all these colors, ooh, maybe we should do like a yellow-green. Like he's kind of in like a jungle environment. No, I'm gonna stick with the red. I think it looks the best. We do, actually maybe not, because it's not contrasting with the feathers in his hair very well. So let's try something else. We want those to show up. That definitely contrasts them. It's a little high in saturation. Maybe we bring it down some and darken it. There we go. I think that looks pretty cool, and then we can adjust this a little bit if we want to Go with something a little different here. Cool. So I think we can call that good. Last thing we want to do before we finish this up is add a nice little overlay texture layer. So I'm going to insert a photo, go to textures, and we're just going to go with, I want to try this cement one again. I know we used it before, but I want to see if we can make it work and look good. So we want to make sure this is the very topmost layer. Oops, come back here. Put it on the very top, have it fill the whole page. Okay. We're going to set it to overlay and bring the opacity down some. Maybe not too much. Then we're going to come over here to our sliders. We can bring the darkness down a bit. Come to our curves. I'm going to bring that lowest point up. This part down just a little bit. Okay. And then just lower the opacity till it's about where you want it. And I think that looks really cool. It gives it some nice effects around the edges and stuff like that. So there you go. That's how you create ink style art for comic books, stuff like that, graphic novels. So hopefully you learned something from this style, and it's something that you can explore and mess around with the techniques. So that's it for this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next one.